obviously, than a lot of the big multinationals that might have a bit of a rosier outlook because they're seeing that demand from other places.
Shanti Kellerman, thank you for your time today. Let's stay with the UK, and the government's rushed forward plans for a £2.5 billion investment in the UK steel industry after Donald Trump announced 25% tariffs on all imports of steel and aluminium into the US. The Green Paper was published on Sunday, several weeks ahead of schedule. It comes as the European Union reportedly wants to block imports of certain foodstuffs made to different standards to protect its farmers, in an echo of President Trump's reciprocal trade policy. The European Commission will agree this week to explore greater import limits, according to the Financial Times, in a move that would raise tensions with trading partners. Well, Stephen Olson is visiting fellow at ICIS Yusof Ishak Institute, a former international trade negotiator who's involved in the NAFTA negotiations for the United States. Good to get your take on these latest developments. So this is going to go on and on, isn't it? Different countries coming up with different reciprocal moves, as it were. They're all at it, are they not?
I think they are. And actually, I think it's a wise move because this road that we're on, I think inevitably is going to lead to a negotiating table at some point with the United States. And we know that Trump views any negotiation in terms of power dynamics and leverage. And so having the additional leverage of having your counterpunch, your counter retaliation teed up, I think should be useful.
In terms of the steel sector, it's interesting how what President Trump announced very recently, 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminium, has really exposed each country's, where they're at when it comes to their own steel industry, their own provision and exposure to the US.
It has, and I suspect that that's intentional.
So what is your take on what might happen next in terms of some of these tariffs that are on the cards from the part of President Trump? He said he's ready to impose tariffs on Europe. Canada and Mexico have got a 30-day reprieve on the 25% tariffs on all their goods. Give us your take on where we're at the moment.
Well, look, the first thing I would say is that this notion of reciprocal tariffs, actually, it's a bit of a misnomer to refer to these as reciprocal tariffs. They're really reciprocal tariffs on steroids, because U.S. officials will be taking into account a whole host of other factors, subsidies, regulatory environments, exchange rates, when arriving at that reciprocal tariff. So to give you an example, the European Union maintains a 10% tariff on U.S. automotive imports. I would not assume that that means necessarily that the U.S. reciprocal tariff is going to be 10% as well, because once those other factors are brought into the consideration, we could be looking at 15%, 20%. 30%. I don't mean to suggest that the Trump administration will be pulling tariff rates out of thin air, but they've given themselves a remarkably wide degree of latitude in determining what reciprocal tariffs they're going to put in place.
Okay. Stephen Olson, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.